My name is Gary Brashear. I'm part of the Olsen group. We're going to be interviewing Mark Reed today, president of Pneu-Logic.
Hi, my name is Nodarse, also with the Olsen group, and I'll be talking to Mark a little bit more about some of the business challenges that they're facing.
So tell us a little bit about Pneu-Logic as a company.
It's a company that really has a very strong position in what I thought was a relatively small niche, which is compressed air systems. We have a patent that is a very strong patent, and our patent is based upon what is called pressure rate of change and flow. In a compressed air system, you have both the supply side and the demand side of compressed air. The demand side being represented by robotics, pneumatic tools, things that are used at a point of use in a manufacturing process. That requires air. On the supply side, you have your compressors and other activities that are generating the flow of air to service those tools. Well, what Pneu-Logic does is it has proprietary software and hardware that works in conjunction with compressors to basically turn compressors on and off and to manage the flow of air into storage and through filters to optimize the energy that is consumed in making sure those tools have enough air when they need it.
Well, tell me a little bit about the return on investment.
One of the things that actually the team had done before I got here is they built a very sophisticated pricing engine. So as part of our sales process, we'll actually go through and really do what we call either a no-charge walkthrough, which is about a day where really our technical salespeople will go in and look at the environment, write down the types of compressors, how much horsepower is used, really how the air is being transported through the system, and come back and plug those numbers into a pricing calculator, which drives a projected return on investment in terms of energy saved. We also have a for-hire, very formal assessment process where we take our professional services team in and put instrumentation into the compressed air network and take readings over a 2-week period and actually make a very holistic recommendation based upon not only our controls but changing in headers, additional filtration, more storage, whatever it might take to really optimize the energy saved. But a typical go-forward ROI is somewhere in the 10 to 18-month range.
Wow.
And we're able to get that all the time. A perfect example would be probably one of our more successful recent projects. We did a project up at the Puget Sound Naval Shipyards in a nuclear application. And we actually were able to do a couple things that were very interesting. On the one hand, the compressor companies were recommending that they purchase 3 or 4 additional compressors, which would have cost over $2 million. Wow. We went in and did an engineering assessment and actually found out that in fact they didn't need to purchase additional compressors, but they could decommission 2 of the compressors that they actually had online, and by putting our controls in place, they were able to save in the first year $385,000 in energy savings. They avoided over $2 million in compressor purchases, and our system cost them $250,000. So they had about an 8 to 9 month ROI just on the energy savings, not counting the no requirement to purchase the additional compressors.
As you mentioned, you came in to the company about a year ago, and obviously there were certain methodologies and systems and strategies in place. How, as a new leader, do you implement plans and strategies to redirect an already established organization?
Is there alignment between vision, strategy, and execution? And so as you peel that back, you find out in most settings that there's either a lack of clarity around vision and a strategy that might be an inch deep versus fully built out, and an expectation that certain results will happen, but no real clear path and no real clear set of metrics that give you early warning that you may need to course correct. So there was a lot of naivete around where the company was going. Back to one of my earlier points, it was very opportunistic. We were chasing a lot of the shiny objects as opposed to really deciding what we wanted to be when we grew up and then locking in on that and then executing against that particular game plan. And the whole team, gratefully, really rallied around that concept. As you know, Gary, from our work in the past, you know, I'm a strong believer in servant leadership. So I made it very clear to the team right off the bat that I was giving them the ball, that they were going to have to run with the ball. The prior leadership model was very hierarchical, which is very typical in smaller companies, where the CEO makes all of the decisions. It's the go-to person. Everybody comes to them. Nobody can make a move, take any risk, create without running through that particular person. That is the exact opposite of my mental model about how to create leverage and build a high velocity, high performance organization. So in a couple of cases we had to make some personnel changes, but by and large we have had people step up. They have embraced the management style. They have incorporated it in their own organizations, albeit small ones. But now we really have a lot of fun, and we have a shared vision about what success looks like for us. And people are doing things they've never done before. So I'll get people coming down and going, hey, I have this type of problem. I'm thinking about approaching it this way. What do you think? And we'll brainstorm about it a little bit, but they'll come out of here with some ideas, but I'm not going to make the decision for them. Hopefully they'll have enough information to make that decision, and they've made some very good decisions. So we are growing the business, and that excites everyone. The other thing I did, which I like to do wherever I go, is I made every employee an owner. So we spent quite a bit of money to create a qualified option plan for all of the employees. So it was a really fun experience for me to sit down with their managers and talk to them about their own equity in the company, and then to give them blocks of option grants for them to sit down with their employees and talk about what that means to them and how the company can prosper and what their role is in it longer term. So it's really helped us align interests around what we're trying to accomplish here, because we're asking a lot.
Final question. Again, this is obviously, we've worked together many years, and you've had a major positive impact on my life. And this is really for young people who are entering the business climate today. If you had a couple of minutes to speak to each of them, what would you say to them as to what they should focus on to be successful in a very tough economic time coming into the marketplace?
Well, I think the first thing is, you know, really know who you are. You know, we are not what we do. And I've had a lot of friends in the business, me included, from time to time, who has fallen into a pattern where you get caught up in the position, you get caught up in the responsibility, because you may have a title or you may have, you know, some level of authority or power. You think that's who you are, and that's not the case. So what I always work with people on, including myself, is to really make sure you can distinguish between who you are and what you do. And who you are is, you know, what are the key building blocks of your character? What do you value? What are things that you will tolerate and not tolerate? What are you trying to accomplish as a human being, whether you're a family man or whether you haven't entered that chapter of your life as yet? What are you trying to invest in your children? Be very clear about those things, because those are the things that will sustain you in good times and in bad. So, and it's important to learn that at a very young age, because as careers start to take off, you want to have that framework and that foundation built. So that's one very important thing. And then the other thing I would say is do the right things right. Make sure you are a student of the business. Make sure that you learn your craft and you constantly work on it. And that you avoid compromise at all costs. Because the little compromise here or the half-hearted effort there will come back to haunt you. The only survivable style and mode of operation is to be consistent and do the right things right. People may not like what they hear. You may rub some people the wrong way, but if you're consistent, you're going to be able to carry the day, and you'll develop a reputation for being someone that you can count on and is stable and is consistent. And I think that's what a lot of people look to when people are looking for leadership.
Thank you.
Awesome.